Frank Wazalewski, you've been getting a ton of calls from listeners. You had mentioned during breakfast, you mentioned during the walkover, you mentioned it during the beginning of the show. Keep mom and dad in their home or transition them into the kids' homes. Where is that consultation start, and how does it usually go, and where does it end?
It's it always starts with the doctor. I mean, always starts with the doctor, guys. And it really depends on, your parents' conditions or your loved one's conditions. So a lot of times it's not mom and dad. It could be an injured brother or sister or something. But it starts with the doctor and what the capabilities of the person we're speaking about with, right? So in the most recent case with Ron, we were looking at his mom and where she lived. And she lived in a ranch in Glenview. So the home itself was actually pretty conducive for her being in there, but there was concerns. She needed help. Needed help with laundry, needed help carrying things, cooking.
Sure.
So he was getting worried about her. So we kind of explored a few different options about modifying her home, and then we started talking about the cost of actually going into a home. So then Ron started doing
assisted living home.
Assisted living, right?
Okay.
So Ron started looking into that cost, and you start getting quotes, and depending, even at that level, you're getting quotes of $5,000-6,000 a month, where you don't need 24/7 care, but you need somebody checking in on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then we started looking at Medicare and what Medicare and Medicaid offer, and Medicare and Medicaid don't want to put somebody into a home. It costs them an immense amount of money. The state of Illinois pays millions of dollars a year to modify people's homes so that they don't go into homes. And these are people of various ages from, newborn up into, into their 60s. So because the cost of going into a home is so expensive, and there are very few seats. There are very few rooms that are actually available.
Is that income-based qualification, or is there not an income?
If it's coming from the state, yes, it is. Now, if it, let's just say we take somebody who's affluent, the mom has, a good savings, she has pension coming in, she has Social Security coming in, so you can go into a home, right? And then they're going to take over your pension and your Social Security and your bank accounts, and once all of that's gone, then Medicaid and Medicare pick it up.
Okay.
At that point. But they do deplete all of your assets at that point.
Got it. So in addition to drinking on the air, Frank's knocking things over with his hands.
Yeah, I know.
That
He's passionate.
screech was...
He's just passionate.
I'm Polish, but I speak like an Italian. My hands fly everywhere. Right?
I'm waiting for him to fall off the chair. That would be the trifecta. We've got the daily double so far. We're going for
I'm
the
doing
third
everything I can not to kick this thing in my right
Seat
foot.
belt, Frank.
You're doing great. So then you have the conversation. 6,000 is on the low side.
Yes.
On a monthly basis.
Right.
To bring in
and that's with minimal care, right?
Elder care.
Right.
Yes.
But the other program that all insurances have is home care. So having somebody come into the house, you pay an hourly wage, and that wage can be anywhere from, based on the skill level of the person, $20 an hour to like $50, $60 an hour, right? Yeah. But what a lot of people don't understand is that insurance company will pay you.
Really?
To do that, right? So you could be your parent's caregiver. Now unless you're a licensed nurse, you're not going to get the high end of that.
Right.
But you will get, income to take, because they too want to keep people out of homes.
Right.
Because it starts costing them a lot of money. So we started exploring all of that, but because of the level of care that Ron's mom needed, we started looking at, okay, what if we brought mom in to live with Ron and his wife? So Ron and Sue, we went through their whole house.
Were they open to that?
Yeah,
okay.
They were open to it.
All right.
They were okay with it. I mean, they were both at the point that we're going to retire.
Got it.
So then we started looking at that, and we started looking at the modifications that we would need to do. And these modifications to the house, that they 2-story home, we had to get lifts in, we had to change bathrooms, they had steps going up to the house, we had to add ramps. In order to make mom as independent as possible. And Ron and Sue, again, they're in their 60s. They don't want to be lifting mom, right?
Sure.
They're going to become a client. So the modifications came out to about $75,000. Wow. But you look at the cost of $75,000 plus what you're going to pay for, a caregiver to be into mom's house.
That's a year's worth of a caretaker.
Or it's a year worth of being in an assisted living
Sure.
center, right? So, and we're talking, mom's not she's not looking, she doesn't have a short-term prognosis, right? They're thinking she's going to be around at least another 5-10 years. So you start looking at the long-term dollars, and that's where we started, really mapping it out and what your cost is. And yes, you might have a larger cost right now, but your long-term cost,
It's a one-time shot.
it's a one-time shot.
Yeah.
And you can obviously, there's ways to spread it out. So we started talking about HELOCs and reverse mortgages, which, we had a texter ask here just a little bit ago, 773, wanted to know the difference between a reverse mortgage and a HELOC.